Have you ever looked at a picture of Stonehenge and just thought, how and why? This circle of massive stones, standing silently on a plain in England, has puzzled people for thousands of years. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of this ancient enigma. Forget everything you think you know. Because the story of Stonehenge is way more complex and fascinating than you can imagine. So, when was this incredible monument built? The story starts a long time ago, around 3000 BCE. That's over 5,000 years ago. To put that in perspective, this was before the Great Pyramids of Giza were even a blueprint. The people who first started building Stonehenge weren't using metal tools, and the wheel hadn't even been invented in Britain yet. So, the first version of Stonehenge wasn't the iconic stone circle we see today. It began as a massive circular ditch and bank called a henge, about 110 meters in diameter. Inside this circle, they dug 56 pits, now known as the Aubrey holes. We're still not entirely sure what these pits were for. Perhaps they held timber posts, or maybe even smaller stones. But one thing is clear. Even from its earliest days, this was a special, sacred place. Now, let's talk about the stars of the show. The stones themselves. They weren't all brought here at the same time. The construction was a multi-stage project that spanned over 1,000 years. The first stones to arrive were the smaller blue stones, around 2500 BC, and when I say smaller, they still weighed between 2 and 5 tons each. The crazy part, geologists have traced these blue stones all the way to the Preseli Hills in Wales. That's a journey of over 150 miles. How did these Neolithic people transport dozens of massive stones across such a huge distance, over rough terrain and possibly even by water? It's a mind-boggling feat of engineering and pure human determination. Imagine the coordination, the manpower, the sheer belief in their project required to make that happen. Then, a few hundred years later, around 2300 BCE, the big boys arrived. These are the iconic sarsen stones, the massive uprights and the lintels that lie across the top. These behemoths can weigh up to 50 tons each. They came from a place called the Marlborough Downs, which is about 20 miles away. Now, 20 miles might not sound like much compared to the Bluestones journey, but try moving a 50-ton block of stone that far without modern machinery. It's believed they were moved using a system of sledges and rollers, probably requiring hundreds of people for each stone. They then shaped these incredibly hard stones using stone balls known as mauls, and they didn't just plonk them down. They carved sophisticated joints, like mortise and tenon joints you'd see in woodworking, to lock the lintels securely onto the uprights. This wasn't just building. This was architecture on a monumental scale. So, the biggest question of all remains, why? Why go to all this trouble? The truth is, nobody knows for sure, but there are some compelling theories. The most popular one is that Stonehenge was an astronomical observatory. The entire monument is aligned with the movements of the sun. If you stand in the center on the summer solstice, you'll see the sun rise directly over a stone outside the main circle, called the heel stone. On the winter solstice, the sun sets perfectly between the gaps of the tallest trilithons. This suggests it was a kind of calendar, marking the changing of the seasons, which would have been vital for an agricultural society. It was a place to celebrate light, life, and the turning of the year. Another powerful theory is that Stonehenge was a place of healing. Archaeologists have found numerous human remains buried at the site, many showing signs of serious injury or illness. Some of these remains are from people who traveled from far away, suggesting they made a pilgrimage to Stonehenge, seeking cures from its perceived power. The blue stones, in some ancient traditions, were believed to have healing properties. So, perhaps Stonehenge was a prehistoric hospital, a place of hope and ritual where people came to be made whole. Or maybe it was a place for the dead, a final resting place for royalty or important leaders. The sheer number of burials around the site points to its significance as a ceremonial ground connected to ancestors and the afterlife. It could have been a combination of all these things: a temple, a calendar, and a cemetery. Over the millennia, Stonehenge has been a silent witness to history. It's seen the arrival of the Romans, the rise of kingdoms, and the dawn of the modern age. Today, it stands as a powerful symbol of human ingenuity, spirituality, and our enduring connection to the cosmos. It reminds us that our ancestors were not simple or primitive. They were astronomers, engineers, and visionaries. The next time you see a picture of those ancient stones, remember the 1,500-year-long journey of their creation. Remember the sweat, the skill, and the mystery that are locked into every single rock. What do you think Stonehenge was for? Let me know your theories down in the comments. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. See you next time.